Welcome, everybody, to the Kyle Kulinski Show. Boy, oh boy, it is hell in this country. It is hell in this world right now. So, in just a second, I will have the reaction of the various Democrats to Trump's illegal regime change in Venezuela. A lot of them are exploding in anger and saying the right stuff. Some of them are barely getting a passing grade, and then others are flopping miserably. So I'm going to give you the breakdown, the good, the bad, and the ugly on that. You don't want to miss that. Then we're going to jump to MAGA Online cannot stop posting complete AI slop promoting Trump's new war. The number of times they got caught lying, making some shit up, spreading misinformation is astonishing. It's astonishing to watch a psyop like this unfold in real time, trying to justify and rationalize a brazen war for oil where they loot and pillage for the billionaire class. So we'll talk about that. We also have the anti-war, so-called anti-war MAGA voters were clearly exposed as total frauds. We got some incredible flip-flops. We have probably the most terrifying story of the day is Trump now openly threatening to attack Mexico, Cuba, Colombia, Greenland, and Panama next. And now I think he's emboldened. I think he feels emboldened. And so that is a terrifying, terrifying place to be. And then we'll get to the hidden reason for Trump's Venezuela war that they don't want you to know. I have it here for you today. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, yet again, viciously goes after Trump. The Wall Street vultures are planning to loot Venezuela right in front of our eyes. And we already have some polling numbers on what Trump did here, and Americans are flat out revolting against this trash. So we'll talk about all that and more. You guys know the drill, man. Everybody, please do me a big favor and subscribe to the channel. That, of course, helps out big time and costs you absolutely nothing at all. You can also click that bell icon. That helps so that you get the video delivered right to you as soon as it drops. You don't have to depend on the YouTube algorithm, which very famously does not like political YouTube channels. We're a threat for those advertisers, so they like to hide us and tuck us away in a little corner. So definitely click that bell icon. You can also support the show on Patreon if you're so inclined. That, of course, helps out massively. You can sign up for Crystal Kyle and Friends on Substack to get the exclusive interviews and get the full thing, the full video version of every interview. And, of course, go sub to Corin's World, where we do live Kyle and Corin episodes every Monday night at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We should have an episode today, y'all. I believe we have an episode today, so I'm looking forward to that. And remember, man, I have never talked to an advertiser. I've never done an ad read. You're not going to see me doing an ad read for fucking dick pills or for some gambling bullshit or for some nonsense. You're not going to see it. I also have never taken money from a billionaire. I've never taken money from a PAC or a government or anything like that. This is true grassroots media, man. And we are one of very, very few in this space. So if you support that, if you like that, you can tip with that thanks button on YouTube or give $2 a month or $5 a month on Patreon. That's all we ask. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump right to it because, y'all, we got a lot to get to. So let's start here. Let's start with, I'm going to give you a bunch of Democratic reactions to Trump's kidnapping and abducting of Maduro, his illegal regime change in Venezuela, his carpet bombing of Caracas. So first, let's start with Kamala Harris. So Kamala came out after the bombing and kidnapping and said the following: Donald Trump's actions in Venezuela do not make America safer, stronger, or more affordable. That Maduro is a brutal, illegitimate dictator does not change the fact that this action was both unlawful and unwise. We've seen this movie before. Wars for regime change or oil that are sold as strength but turn into chaos, and American families pay the price. The American people do not want this, and they are tired of being lied to. This is not about drugs or democracy. It is about oil and Donald Trump's desire to play the regional strongman. If he cared about either, he wouldn't pardon a convicted drug trafficker or sideline Venezuela's legitimate opposition while pursuing deals with Maduro's cronies. The president is putting troops at risk, spending billions, destabilizing a region, and offering no legal authority, no exit plan, and no benefit at home. America needs leadership whose priorities are lowering costs for working families, enforcing the rule of law, strengthening alliances, and most importantly, putting the American people first. Okay, so look, overall, it's a stronger statement than I would have expected from Kamala Harris. It is it's way better than Chuck Schumer's. It's way better than Hakeem Jeffries. She does immediately say, look, this is about oil, and this is completely and utterly illegal. And that's 100% correct. It's 100% correct. The thing that I don't like We don't, guys, come on. Let's not do this stupid fucking throat clearing bullshit of like, well, I agree that he's evil and terrible and bad and wrong. We don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. We watched this unfold already in Iraq, and all that argument did is it helped bolster the rationale of the warmongers before you disagree with the conclusion. Let's not even bolster their rationale. The fact that he's bad or he's done evil thing, that is totally fucking immaterial to the fact that we are the greater evil in this scenario. We are wildly violating U.S. law and international law and the Constitution and doing it to loot and pillage for oil companies and billionaires. We don't need to do the throat clearing bullshit. That's like if somebody gets fucking murdered on the street in cold blood, it's on video, and then you get up and you say, well, that guy was an asshole who got shot in the face, but let's not do that. Okay, let's not do that. So that's one of the parts that annoys me about this. The other thing I don't like is she says, why is he sidelining Venezuela's legitimate opposition? Basically what she's saying is, well, if you're going to do the regime change, Corina Machado should be the one who takes Maduro's place. Let's not do that either, okay? Let's stop. That bitch is a psychopath. She's a warmonger. She was begging Netanyahu to overthrow the government of Venezuela. She's openly saying, I want to give U.S. corporations all of the oil. So let's reel it in with that too, okay? So it's a little bit muddled, but overall, much better than I expected from her because she said it's about oil, and she says this is wildly illegal, and she says, look, this is not helping the American people. I thought you were going to lower prices. I thought you were going to make America great again. What the fuck are you doing here, right? That's a strong argument. It's a strong argument to say, you know, unemployment's going up in this country, inflation's going up in this country, people are struggling, they're losing their health care, and what's your dumbass doing? Giving $40 billion to the failed president in Argentina and saying we're going to run Venezuela and Gaza. Like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? All right, let's keep going here. This is Ro Khanna. He went on MS Now, and he said the following.
Congressman, I've been thinking about that quote from Susie Wiles basically all day, but let me just start by asking you what has struck you most about the events of really less than 24 hours?
Well, it's not just the lawlessness. Obviously, he flouted Congress and the Constitution. He flouted international law so much that France and Germany and European allies are expressing skepticism. It's also his betrayal of everything he ran on. I mean, here's someone who in 2016 said, I'm against regime change war. That's how he beat Jeb Bush. I'm against the nation building that George W. Bush did. And today he's out there telling the American people we're going to run Venezuela. What happened to building up jobs here at home, to caring about the costs of living here at home? And many people just see this as a total betrayal of putting American interests and the American people first.
To your point, I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene posted today that this kind of thing is, quote, what many in MAGA thought they voted to end. Boy, were we wrong. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene posting something critical of Trump isn't necessarily a shocker at this particular point. Most people in MAGA world have kind of gotten in line to date. Do you think that will change, or what is your expectation? Because to your point, it's very counter to what he ran on and what a number of people who voted for him thought they were supporting.
Well, after the initial strikes, I saw some folks in MAGA like Mike Lee trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, saying, oh, this was just a strike and a capture of Maduro. Now, that's a violation of international law. It's going to have terrible consequences. But then I think Trump made it worse. He goes up to the press conference and he says, no, it wasn't just a limited strike. We may go back in there. We're going to run the place. And he's got no plan for how he's going to do that. And now the American people are thinking, well, how much is this going to cost us to be able to have troops there? What is the plan? Are we really going to be a police-keeping force in Venezuela? And why is our president spending so much time talking about Argentina, Venezuela, the Middle East, and he's not spending time talking about Pennsylvania, Michigan, Wisconsin? What happened to the manufacturing jobs? What happened to lowering prices from day one? It just makes him look totally out of touch.
Well, no question. And I think it's not the only motivation. He himself talked about oil. We've been talking about that. But the fact that a lot of those other things are not going well sometimes is a reason why he does something like this. Let me ask you, Senator Tim Kaine said he'd force a vote next week on a bipartisan war powers resolution to block Trump from continuing military action against Venezuela. That's something he has proposed, including under Democratic presidents, when he doesn't approve of military action and believes Congress, of course, should have been consulted, as they should be. But do you anticipate, from what you've seen now, from people you've talked to, that there could be more Republicans who break ranks with Trump on that vote? Or what do you think at this point?
Well, Senator Kaine has shown, as you mentioned, great leadership on this. Susan Collins was the reason it didn't pass earlier, and we should remember that in 2026. But I do think that we may see more Republicans in the Senate and even in the House say no to this effort of regime change and running Venezuela. The other thing I think people misunderstand about the American people is there's a morality to our foreign policy and our values. And we don't like to just go take in other countries' oil. Like, that's not who we are as a people. And this is going to offend a lot of Americans. Like, that's not what America does. We're not not an empire. We don't go marching into countries and just take their stuff. We're the country that fights for freedom. And I think people who are just looking at this from a legalistic perspective or saying he's not listening to Americans are missing the fundamental morality that most Americans have.
Well, I think that's true. The legality is part of it. But yes, to your point, I also think if the American military's resources are used, if our men and women are used, if this continues to escalate, that is going to have a real pushback in this country, I expect, if not before then. Congressman Ro Khanna, thank you so much, as always.
And by the way, we will have polls on that later in this show. You will see polls. We already have polls out on if the American people want war with Venezuela, want regime change in Venezuela. We already have polls after Trump already did it. We have some numbers, and spoiler alert, it's not looking good for the big guy. And Ro Khanna is correct here that the default perspective of Americans is not like, hey, I really wish we were a bunch of disgusting, warmonger imperialist criminals crusading and pillaging and looting and being savage barbarians and taking shit that's not ours. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. All right, but I'm still not done, so let's keep going here. Now we have Bernie Sanders released a statement on what Trump did here. Let's listen.
Donald Trump has once again shown his contempt for the Constitution and the rule of law. Let's be clear. The President of the United States does not have the right to unilaterally take this country into war, even against a corrupt and brutal dictator like Maduro. The United States does not have the right, as Trump stated this morning, to run Venezuela. Congress must immediately pass a war powers resolution to end this illegal military operation and reassert its constitutional responsibilities. Trump's attack on Venezuela will not make the United States and the world safer. Quite the contrary. This brazen violation of international law gives a green light to any country on earth that may wish to attack another nation to seize their resources or change their governments.
So, in other words, what Russia is doing in Ukraine right now, of course, we have no grounds whatsoever to be like, excuse you, that's not allowed. Have you looked at the bylaws? That's not allowed. We can't do that now. I mean, we couldn't have done that before either, but now it's even more clear. It's even more obvious. If China wants to go into Taiwan, what moral authority is there for us to be like, excuse me, sir, what about independence and political sovereignty? It's like, oh, please. We took a massive diarrhea shit all over that. And now we're going to turn around and be like, that's not right. I don't agree with that.
This is the horrific logic of force that Putin used to justify his brutal attack on Ukraine. Trump and his administration have made it clear that they want to revive the Monroe Doctrine, a belief that claims that the United States has the right to dominate the affairs of the hemisphere. They have spoken openly about controlling Venezuela's oil reserves, the largest in the world. Let's make no mistake about it. This is rank imperialism.
Ooh, let's go. People have got to start calling him a war criminal. You have to start using the I word again. This absolutely is imperialism. We need that to echo throughout this country because that's what it is. And he's basically announcing it in speeches to the world over and over and over. So when he says, it's all about the oil, we're going to have the oil companies go in there. They're going to get all the infrastructure up to date, and we're going to take the oil. That's him saying, yes, I'm serving, the oil lobby. I'm serving the billionaire class. I'm serving my fucking guests at Mar-a-Lago, who I have. That's what this is.
It recalls the darkest chapters of U.S. interventions in Latin America, which have left a terrible legacy. It will and should be condemned by the democratic world. Trump campaigned for president on an America First platform. He claimed to be the peace candidate. Well, at a time when 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, when our healthcare system is collapsing, when people throughout this country cannot afford housing, and when artificial intelligence threatens millions of jobs, it is time for the president to focus on the crises facing this country and end the military adventurism abroad. Trump is failing in his job to run the United States of America. He should not be trying to run Venezuela. Thank you very much.
All right, so there's Bernie, not mincing words, saying this is imperialism. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes out and says, it's not about drugs. If it was, Trump wouldn't have pardoned one of the largest narco traffickers in the world last month. It's all about oil and regime change. And they need a trial now to pretend that it isn't, especially to distract from Epstein and skyrocketing healthcare costs. That is exactly correct. More, here's Graham Plattner. So Graham Plattner gives a speech as soon as the attack happens and as soon as the regime change and the kidnapping and abduction happens. Here's what he says. He perhaps goes further than anybody.
This is not foreign policy. This is gangsterism on an international scale. That's right. We must not be fooled by the childish lies being used to justify this illegal aggression. Be wary of the establishment voices in media and in politics who over the next few weeks will work tirelessly to manufacture contempt, even when they sound like they are opposed. Keep an ear out, for this operation is bad, but, followed by words about democracy, dictatorship, and international law. If those were justifications for invasion and abduction, we'd have invaded many of our allies a long time ago. Those voices are doing the work of empire, and we must be vigilant for their duplicitousness. If they are media figures, change the channel. If they are political figures, work tirelessly to remove them from power.
Jesus Christ, on fire. On fire. He's right. Look, we arm 73% of the world's dictatorships. So any argument about, but Maduro's a dictator, is just so fucking hollow. He said it. This is international gangsterism. We are the baddies. And beware of people who seem like they're making an argument against it, but low-key, they slip in some lines about, but I kind of support this. He is exactly right. And like I said, he perhaps goes further than anybody on this. All right, now let's go to Chris Murphy. So Chris Murphy was on CNN, and he also didn't mince words at first. Then I'm going to give you what he said a day later. And this goes from great to horrible. But let's start with the great. Here we go.
Your reaction to this operation?
Well, I mean, clearly this is wildly illegal. This is a president who has been operating illegally since he was sworn into office, stealing from the American people, seizing spending power.
What's illegal?
Now dragging America into a war overseas. The president cannot run a military operation of this size, cannot invade a foreign country without coming to Congress first, without allowing the American public to weigh in. America doesn't want this war. Nobody asked for this because it has nothing to do with American national security. And I think that's the most important conversation to have. Listen, Venezuela is not a security threat to the United States. They're not threatening to invade us. There is no terrorist group like Al-Qaeda operating there that has plans to attack the United States. To the extent that you care about the drug trade, yes, they produce drugs, but those drugs go to Europe. Fentanyl is the drug that's killing Americans. That's not coming from Venezuela. Venezuela produces cocaine. 90% of it is not coming to the United States. This seems to be mostly about oil and natural resources. Donald Trump's entire foreign policy is corrupt. Russia, the Middle East, and now Venezuela is all about making money for his friends. And Wall Street, the oil industry, they can make a lot of money off of Venezuela if they run it. You saw within hours of the invasion, the announcement of a group of Wall Street investors, energy industry investors, planning a trip to Venezuela to make money off of this invasion, off of this ouster. So unfortunately, once again, you're seeing that this president's foreign policy, the invasion of Venezuela, the ouster of Maduro, is about making his crowd filthy rich. It has nothing to do with American national security.
Can I just go back?
So this is great. These comments were great. This was spot on. This was exactly right. And then he drives it into a ditch the next day and he says this: they got rid of Maduro, but let Maduro's corrupt thugs stay in charge. It's mostly because they just want their oil friends to get rich, and Maduro's crowd might let them. But I guess it's also because the pro-democracy opposition leader was actually righteous, and that's bad. So this is echoing one of the points Kamala made, which is like, well, if you're going to do the regime change, you should actually go all the way and not only take out Maduro, but take out his VP, take out his defense minister, take out everybody in the government at a top level, and then usher in this psychotic corporate puppet who was begging Netanyahu to overthrow Maduro and who was telling U.S. oil companies, I can't wait for you to come here and take our oil, who was thirsting for violence against her own native country. So every argument he made in that CNN segment was correctly attacking Trump from his left and from a non-interventionist perspective and from a common sense perspective. Then he goes on Twitter and does the opposite and starts attacking Trump from a further right-wing perspective. Well, actually, the problem with your regime change is that it wasn't regime changey enough. You didn't go far enough. You didn't go all the way and install our little puppet dictator. So I don't even know how it's possible for somebody to go from such great comments to such horrible comments. Adam Johnson says the following in replying to Chris Murphy: I didn't think it was possible to attack Trump from the right on this, but here we are. Very funny to imply Trump's oil friends wouldn't get rich with Machado. Machado herself has made this central to her political project. This is literally all she talks about. And that's exactly right. So Chris Murphy went from way up here in my estimation to way down here in the blink of a fucking eye. In the blink of an eye. All right. But I'm still not done. Because now I gave you like the neutral, and I gave you the good, and I gave you the great. But now I'm going to give you the bad. So this Chris Murphy one was bad, but I got more that's actually bad. So look at this. Tommy Vitor says, this is bad political and policy advice. A Quinnipiac poll from December found 63% of voters oppose military action in Venezuela. On policy, the shock and awe phase of regime change looks easy. What comes next is really hard. Democrats should oppose disastrous regime change wars. And so he goes on, but what he's citing here is, this is, a passage from a piece that's in Axios. And Axios talked to a bunch of centrist Democrats in Washington off the record. And here's what we got. One swing district House Democrat told Axios in a text message on Saturday, quote, nuance is dead in politics. Right, because when I'm looking at a psychotic war criminal, a pedophile, rapist, corrupt war criminal, violently overthrowing other sovereign countries and bragging about it and saying how we're going to take their oil, my immediate thought is, I sure wish we had some nuance in this conversation. There has never been a worse time for fucking nuance. Trump killed the nuance. If nuance is dead, Trump killed it by being a fucking comic book villain. All right, more. Maduro is bad. Glad he's gone. You can't have it both ways, the lawmaker said, venting that everything Trump touches must be bad according to the base. Because it fucking is bad. Have you considered the base is right? Have you considered that taking a massive diarrhea shit over international law every day for your entire time in office is a bad precedent and it destroys a world which was peaceful? Which makes it so that now it's, for everybody, it's might makes right. For everybody, it's law of the jungle. How do you not see this? That now the Nuremberg laws are rendered meaningless. That now the lesson of World War II, and World War I for that matter, now we flushed it down the fucking toilet. And it's only a matter of time until there's another global catastrophe of that extent because we've totally forgotten morality and the golden rule. All right, let's continue. Another vulnerable House Democrat told Axios in a phone interview, quote, as Democrats, we can't just condemn what happened. I wish the Democratic Party would be a little bit more measured on this. Yes, be measured as Trump clearly violated the Constitution and U.S. law and international law and fucking abducted a sovereign leader and says this is for the billionaires and this is for Exxon and we're going to steal the oil. I can't with these people, bro. Understand something, guys. These are not Democrats. These are not Democrats. These are dinos. Democrats in name only. That's what they are. They are diet MAGA. And you know what? These days, the diet might be being too kind to them. They appear to just be MAGA. I think it looks weak, a third centrist House Democrat said. If you don't acknowledge when there is a win for our country, then you lose all credibility. So these motherfuckers secretly think this is a win for our country? Oh my God. It's not just about politics. The second lawmaker who spoke to Axios noted that Democrats widely condemned Venezuela's sham elections last year and have long advocated for democracy abroad. So stop and think about that. First of all, I don't buy the it's definitely a stolen election. We don't fucking know. And everybody they have corrupt reasons to say that election was stolen. But let's put that aside for a second. Even if it was stolen, we arm and fund and back 73% of the world's dictatorships. The idea that we have some principled stance in favor of democracy is fucking preposterous. Trump is president now. He tried to steal the 2020 election in this country. We back Israel. We back Saudi Arabia. These are the worst. Even if you think Maduro is bad, fucking Netanyahu's way worse. MBS is way worse. So now all of a sudden you're going to fucking pearl clutch? Oh, you haven't done democracy the way I want you to do it. Stop providing them cover for their bullshit fucking arguments. Unless you're actually stupid enough to believe this, which, it's hard to actually wrap my mind around that might be the case. What happened to when they had the election and Maduro stole the election? There were Democrats condemning that, the House Democrat said. Have we forgotten what happened in that country? The third House Democrat told Axios they were surprised how negative the response has been from their colleagues. I can't, man. I can't. So again, these are not Democrats. These are dinos. This is diet MAGA through and through. So let me make something crystal clear for everybody out there. If you are an elected Democrat and you are not unconditionally, unequivocally condemning Trump's psychotic, sociopathic, warmongering and imperialism and theft of oil and natural resources, you're a bad guy. You're with the other team, and we will crusade to get your bitch ass out of office. We're going to replace you with somebody who gives a shit about human rights and somebody who gives a shit about international law. That's what we're going to do. So I just need all of them to understand that. take whatever position you want to take, but silence in this instance will be registered as complicity. If you are silent, you are with Trump, and you're one of the bad guys, and we will fucking come for you. We will take fucking names, and we will come for you. You will be primaried, and you will lose, because you're a little fucking bitch who believes in nothing. You're a little bitch who actually somehow convinced yourself to believe that Jeffrey Epstein's best friend, the Fredophile rapist, that guy, the fucking, 20 times over war criminal, now somehow is correct when he kidnaps a sovereign leader, when he abducts a sovereign leader and wages another regime change war and carpet bombs Caracas? Carpet bombs Caracas. And somehow that's, oh, we love this. Meanwhile, again, they're saying this like the common sense perspective is, people, obviously we should support this. Meanwhile, like we just said, one poll, 63% of the country is against this. Your own base is like 80, 90% against this, more than that. So enough with these fake Democrats, enough. But there were a lot of Democrats who said the right thing and did the right thing. They are leading by example. All the credit in the world to those Democrats. We have to go full corporate. We should be openly talking, every Democrat in the country should be talking about impeachment or forcing the cabinet to do the 25th Amendment. That's what we should be doing. Because the fact that that's not happening, guess what? Now there's other countries that are on the list. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. But Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Greenland. Now he feels fucking emboldened because he's not hitting a wall of resistance. We need to be that wall of resistance right now. Hey y'all, do me a favor and like and subscribe. It helps out big time in the algorithm. Click the bell as well for notifications when videos drop. And watch that video on screen right now. You know you want to.